As it was, as it was.
Right, hello everyone. This is surreal to be speaking at Wembley. So after lunch, they call it the graveyard shift. I'm sure you're all aware of that. I'm talking after Josh Vegans. It's like the graveyard shift. That's going to be a real hard job to follow him. So I actually just want to share something. I didn't realise. Oh, I shouldn't be standing towards that, should I? I didn't realise that I actually shared. Is Josh still here? He's at the back, right? So I sent Josh a message on Instagram, not a weird one, not like Whaley would, on the 25th September 2023, 6 months after I launched my business. I said, "Hey Josh, I hope you're enjoying London and having a great time seeing Paramount Day. This is a long shot, but I don't suppose I can buy you a coffee, drink, dinner, not go on a date, if you're still in London on Thursday or Friday. I'm a long-time admirer of yours, started my own consultancy 7 months ago." He never replied. And I didn't know that I'd sent him that message because well, it's just really sad and stalkerish, isn't it? But yeah, I saw that. And now I'm at Wembley talking on stage after Josh Vegan. So I'm proud of myself right now. So I just wanted to get out of there. Right, so it's going to be a bit weird where to look at here. So this is my H1 2025 market update. For the avoidance of doubt, this is the first 6 months of the year. So I'm going to be comparing it to year on year. So first 6 months of 2024, the previous 6 months, so the back end of 24, and then we've got the 6-year average. So that's 2020 through to 2025. So in terms of on the market, just for clarity, what I mean by that is number of properties for sale. Stock levels at the moment are the highest they've been since October 2013. So we're at a 12-year high for stock levels. I see a few people like writing things down. Please do write that down. Stock levels are at a 12-year high. So when you've got sellers wanting far too much money for their property, make sure to remind them that they are on the market in competition, not in isolation. I've completely ripped that off from the Australian real estate industry. But there is a lot of choice out there for buyers, which is why property is sticking on market for longer. It's not achieving the prices it perhaps was 6 months ago. And why we're seeing buyers have a lot more negotiating power. So 12-year high on stock. It's 8.3% up on last year, 3% up on the previous 6 months, and a whopping 24.5% up on the 6-year average. So there is a lot of stock out there. So sellers need to be pricing sensibly if they're going to attract a buyer in this market. Okay. So in terms of new listings, they're up 4% year on year. 19.3% on the previous 6 months and 6% up on the 6-year average. So there's really good news there. New listings means there is confidence from sellers. Sellers are wanting to enter the market, which is good news. Now, most sellers are also buyers. Say that again, most sellers are also buyers. So that's why we are still seeing sales happening, even though stock levels are at a 12-year high. So it's really positive news that we've got the listing levels that we have. They're not an oversupply of the market. So hands up in the room if you worked the 07, 08, 09 market. Quite a lot of hands. I know I don't look old enough, but I worked that market. I went one day from changing window cards from for sale to sold to the next day just dropping the price every day because there was so much stock and there was no buyers. We are not at the stock levels we saw in 2008. We're at a much more comfortable level now. But as I said, we're at a 12-year high, which means a lot of competition for sellers. I know I keep banging on about it, but it's really important we get that message across to sellers how much competition really is out there. So in terms of sales agreed, they're up 6.5% year on year, almost 12% on the second half of 2024 and 6% up on the 6-year average. So again, there is sales demand out there. And I know it sounds really obvious and perhaps patronizing. Price a property correctly, it sells. It literally is simple as that. It's just getting that across to the public that it is a very price sensitive market. Now, in terms of price sensitivity, this hasn't made it onto my slides, but I want to share a few quotes with you that I think are really powerful. So most agents want 2021 results with 2018 effort in a 2025 market. Let me repeat that. Most agents, and let's change that to sellers, most sellers want 2021 results with 2018 effort in a 2025 market. Smart sellers price for today's market, not yesterday's memories, because buyers shop with today's mortgage rates, not last year's dreams. So my old boss, Sam Hunter at Home Search, he once said to me, it's really stuck to me, I use it all the time, for every dead pet buried in a back garden, add 10 grand to the asking price. sellers will have emotional memories. And the other thing, if you ever go into a house and you see those little lines on the door frame where people have measured their children over years, they want more money. It's just they're trying to sell their memories. The buyers do not want to buy your memories. Okay? So price changes, leading on to that, it is absolutely crazy how many price changes there are in the market. So I'm going to share a few stats with you on this. So far this year, 47% of properties that have come to market have had a price reduction. 47%. So almost half the properties that come to market are reducing their asking price. What does that say? It doesn't say reduce, it says damaged goods. No one else wanted me. Okay? So in terms of reductions, in the first 6 months of the year, we had 563,000 price reductions. And in June, there was 107,000. That's, so a lot of this data comes from 20A. I have to give a very big shout out to 20A. That 107,000 figure is the biggest month of price reductions I've seen. And the data goes back to January 2020. So we are in a very, very price sensitive market. Sellers wanted too much money. We all know that there's an agent in your town who overvalues. Funny story on that quickly, actually. I put a post on socials a while ago and an agent messaged me saying, yeah, price reductions, it's terrible. The agents in my town overvalue. Can you get me some data? He was the worst culprit. So he was price reducing literally 75% of his stock. And I said to him, you said there's overvaluing in your marketplace. I was like, you're the one who does it the most. He went, yeah, but I've got to because everyone else does. But you're the one who does it the most. Doesn't make sense. There's some really, really good data from Rightmove as well. And if anyone wants me to share it with them, do reach out to me. It's in terms of how price reduced properties perform a lot worse than those that price correctly from the outset. So yeah, if anyone wants those slides, do come find me and speak to me afterwards. So on price changes, the key one on the right hand side, 47% increase in price reductions. On the last, it's crazy how many price reductions there are. And again, that's because you've got buyers' expectations here, sellers' expectations here. You've kind of got buyers trying to come in like they think it's the 08, 09 crash, and then you've got sellers thinking we're in 2021. So it's just managing those expectations. In terms of withdrawn numbers, so 2.5% down on last year, just over 13% on the last 6 months of 24, and 10% up on the 6-year average. In terms of those stats, the withdrawn numbers dropping year on year, that's a good sign. So whilst I've been really negative around price reductions, less people are coming off the market, more people are reducing. So it shows that there are committed sellers out there, rather than just going, screw it, I haven't sold, I'll just take it off the market. They're going, do you know what? We will realign our expectations. We will adjust the marketing price as the estate agent told us to on that. But they are still 10% up on the 6-year average. Now, in terms of withdrawn data, I think this comes from both 28 and Spectre. It's around about 46% of withdrawn properties come back to market within 12 months. So if you do not have a strategy to target withdrawn properties, I strongly recommend you do. One, the ones that are already in your CRM. How would you be if a property you launched to market withdraws, comes back on in 6 months with a competitor? Because like Josh said earlier, they're going to witness protection. You stop having contact with them. So please do look after your database, make sure that you are going after those withdrawn properties. They might today say, I'm coming off the market because I couldn't find the house I wanted. They might change their mind in 6 months. They might find again, so make sure you stay in contact with them. And then the ones that are not in your CRM, do go chase them. There's some brilliant prop tech outfits out there that can help you target withdrawn properties. But again, there are also free ways to do it. You can go onto Rightmove house prices, for example, or Zoopla house prices. It's a really, really simple hack. Go on to Rightmove house prices, choose some streets where you'd love to be selling houses. So I'm going to say Lakes Lane where I am. And literally just type in Lakes Lane on Rightmove house prices. And when you scroll through, look at the image of the listing. And if it said the last time it sold was 1995, but that image looks like it was taken in 2023, it's a withdrawn listing. Click on it. It will tell you when it was on the market. Go into Rightmove Plus, put in that address, see who it was on with, how long for. Go door knock it, go send it a letter, go see if it's in your CRM or something. There's lots of opportunities there. So you can do it on Rightmove, you can do it on Zoopla house prices, and you've got the paid for tools that you can use as well. In terms of fall throughs, the stat normally out there is like 1 in 3. The data from 20A would probably highlight it's about 25% of listings fall through. Interesting data from Chris Watkin and 20A. The longer it takes you to find a buyer, the more likely it is to fall through. Price reduced properties are more likely to fall through. So Mr. Seller, guess what? Let's price it correctly from the outset and let's find a buyer as quick as possible because we'll have the best chance of getting you to the finish line, which is what you want. You want to get moved. In terms of fall through rates, can I just get a show of hands in the room? Does anyone in this room use reservation agreements? A few hands. Do you use Gazelle, Ian? And do you mind me asking what your fall through rate is at Avocado?
The agents that use it.
Yeah, okay. Less than 5%. Cool. So Gazelle would be one I'd recommend. Brian Mansell at Gazelle, reservation agreements, unbelievable. I work with quite a few agents who use reservation agreements. They've got single-digit fall-through rates. So I strongly recommend checking it out on that. Relisted, basically properties returning to market. Data out of not the last Rightmove House Price Index, the one before, said there was a 32% increase in sellers changing estate agents. So in the kind of COVID market of 2021, first half of 22, you had to be first through the door, right? If you did not list it first, the other agent was selling it. There is definitely a second-hand market coming back. So do go after those properties. Again, there's lots of different prop tech outfits you can use to send on market direct mail. If you want to get really, really specific in targeting, this works incredibly well at the higher end. LinkedIn prospecting is unbelievable. It's such an underutilized tool. So I'm going to give you 4 Google Chrome extensions now, completely free, which if you want to find people's phone numbers and email addresses online and then actually start emailing them. And actually, just on that point, hands up if you've heard of Simon Squibb, the guy who goes around saying, "What's your dream?" A few hands. I literally used what I'm about to share with you on him to get his private email address to get him on my podcast. So the 4 Google Chrome extensions are called Apollo, Lusha, which is Lusha, Rocket Reach, and Contact Out. You go set them up as Google Chrome extensions, they plug into your LinkedIn, you go onto someone's profile, and one of those Chrome extensions should find their phone number or their email address. Do not ask me how it's GDPR compliant. This is Simon Wells Conference. We don't care about GDPR. Right, so I've got to whiz through this, but this is just showing what's been happening to asking prices. So first half of 24, it was just shy of 437,000. First half of 2025, it's at 440,000. So asking prices of new listings, pretty much static over the last 12 months. Now, the thing a lot of sellers don't appreciate is that so far this year, only 56% of properties that have come to market have actually gone on to sell. 56%. Now, you think if you said to the average homeowner who always thinks their house is amazing, it's going to sell really quickly, what do we think there you would say their chances of selling are? Probably 100%? Probably ain't going to sell? No, you've actually got just over a flip of a coin chance of selling. Now, if your data's better than that, then that's a really good thing to say. You know, I'm 2% plus VAT because I have an 80% success rate, whereas the average agent has a flip of a coin chance of selling. There's a higher investment in my services, but that's because I give you more certainty. Okay, so new listing average asking price, pounds per square foot, it's gone from 373 to 390, so a bit of a boost up there. Who uses pounds per square foot at all in their valuing? A few hands, cool. So again, 2 resources for you. One is called housemetric.co.uk. Unbelievable pounds per square foot data on there. You can also create what's called a histogram, which gives you some really cool bar charts for pounds per square foot. And then propertydata.co.uk is a really good website. You do have to have a paid for subscription on that, but you can get some unbelievable pounds per square foot data. It really, really helps when you're having those pricing conversations with sellers. So onto sales agreed. So if only half the properties that come to market actually sell, it's kind of pointless looking at the average asking price of new listings, if you see what I mean, because half of it's not going to sell anyway. So the ones that have actually been sale agreed. So this is not lagged data. We're not waiting for land registry. It's taken directly from 20EA. In the first half of this year, the average asking price, not the price achieved, average asking price of sale agreed was £363,960, whereas last year it was £359,647. So a slight increase there, ever so slightly. Right, mortgage approvals for house purchases. You've got basically the 12-month running average, and I've shown May 24 before that as well, just so you can get an idea. It's pretty static there. We're not in a bad place when it comes to mortgage approvals, and that is a future predictor of what's going to happen to transaction volumes, because those mortgage approvals in May are probably going to go into land registry completions in, I mean, it's a bit of a joke how long it takes to get a deal for in this country, but I won't go on to that. But June, July, August, they're probably going to be September. So in terms of mortgage approvals for house purchases, they're up 4% month on month at the moment, 5% year on year, and they're 5% up on the 10-year May average, which you will see there as well. So you can see a massive dip in May 2020. Obviously, that's when COVID was and the market was locked down, hence why it had that dip there. And then we've got transaction levels as well. We've got the obvious spike in March because of the stamp duty deadline. But apart from that, transaction numbers are actually doing okay. Transaction numbers were 12% lower than May last year, but they were 25% up on April. So we had this massive spike here because of the stamp duty. It then came down there after the stamp duty. It's now come back again. So people saying that the market's going to fall off a cliff after stamp duty, again, clickbait commentary on that. And then 10-year number of property transactions, again, you can see the dip from COVID, but actually we're just in a pretty sort of average space at the moment. That's going to get better as transaction levels increase. Zoopla are reporting we're going to have a 5% increase in transaction numbers this year to go from 1.1 million to 1.15. The long-term average is 1.2 million transactions. So we're not in too much of a bad place. And in the financial year, again, you can see sort of where we sit at the moment and what the average is across the last decade. We're not a million miles from it, and that's only going to improve as mortgage approvals go up. In terms of mortgages as well, I saw this morning. So the average 2 and 5 year fixed rates were last lower in September 2022, and respectively, 2 years was September 2022, 5 year October 24. So rates have come down. However, you imagine if someone got a 5 year fix in 2020 and they're in a coma and they woke up now, they'd be like, what the f has happened to interest rates? But the Bank of England base rate has dropped twice this year. So it's gone from 4.75 to 4.5 to 4.25. Does anyone in this room know what the long-term average for the Bank of England base rate is? What? 2.5, 5? So it's like 5.9%. So we've got a base rate of 4.25%. The long-term average is 5.9. So if you have only owned a property since, let's say, 2010 to 2022, that dozen-year period, if you bought a house then and then you remortgage, you can go, oh my God, this is absolutely crazy. That wasn't normal. That was the anomaly. What we're in now is normal on that. So it's worth sort of letting the public know that. Inflation as well. Average inflation rate is normally around 5%. We're sitting at 3.4%. Government target is 2%. So again, it's moving in the right direction, but it's being a little bit sticky. There's obviously various things going on in the world that can impact that. Inflation's then going to impact what the Bank of England do at the base rate. That's going to affect things as well. But considering, what was it, 2 years ago, we had double-digit inflation. It's like 11, whatever it was, 11% for the first time in my life. I don't think we'd had double-digit inflation since the late 80s. And then one of the last bits, house price index. So I'd recommend like you guys do this as well. But I look at these half a dozen house price indexes every month to see what they're saying. Now, they all vary in how they are done. So, for example, Rightmove's on asking price. That's the asking price of the properties that list now. Whereas Land Registry is completions from May, I'm going to say, but that's from sales agreed 6 months prior. So it's a bit lagged, if that makes sense. So in terms of this house price index, if you look at the bottom, the average across those half a dozen is a minus 0.71%. That's the first time in the last 6 months since I started tracking it that we've had a minus as an average for monthly prices. So when you've got sellers out there going, oh my God, I want to put my house on at loads of money, well, this is what the latest data is saying. So we are seeing a slowing in house price growth because of the increased stock in the market. Buyers have got more choice. They've got negotiating power. Whereas obviously in 2021, first half 22, you just said to a buyer, pay the price or I'll sell it to someone else. There's nothing else for you to buy. We're obviously not in that market now. Last bit from me. I just want to share a couple of bits in terms of timing for unsold properties. So I said earlier, stock levels are at their highest point since October 2013. Some really good data out of Zoopla recently. 22% of properties have been on the market for 6 months or more. And 23% of properties have been on the market 3 to 6 months. So 45% of properties on the market right now have been on for 90 days or more. Yet Rightmove is saying that the average time to sell is about 2 months. So if you're not sold within the first 2 months, something's going wrong there, right? And there's a really good line here. So the truth is simple. When your house sits 60 plus days, the market is telling you something. The question is whether you're ready to listen. Now, in terms of like pricing as well, I just want to share a really, really powerful quote from Tom Panos from when he was on my podcast. And I recommend you start using this in your dialogue. It's really, really good quote. So Tom said to me on a podcast, "I might hurt you with the truth, but I'm not prepared to comfort you with a lie. I will always tell you what you need to hear, not what you'd like to hear." Now, me telling you what you need to hear helps you. Me telling you what you want to hear helps me. So if I tell you your house is worth 350 when it's 300, that helps me because I hit my listing target. If I tell you your house is worth 300, that's what you need to hear. It will help you. You will actually sell. So I hope that makes sense there. So last bit here. So average unsold property. Does anyone want to give me a guess how many days the average unsold property has been on the market for? There's no prizes, by the way. It's just, was that 200? 200, okay, 171 days. It would have sounded better if you'd like said 100 and then but 171 days is the average time for an unsold property on the market. So give or take, it's about 6 months. So I said earlier that there's a 32% increase, according to Rightmove, of a number of sellers switching estate agents. There is loads and loads and loads of opportunity out there on that. Now, what I'm finding a lot of estate agents are doing is, and I've been guilty of this over the years when I was an agent, we go in straight to the price. It's like price is the issue, but actually there's 3 other P's you want to be looking at. So if I go into someone's living room and I say, "Are you happy with the presentation of your home?" They're probably going to say yes because they're house proud. Great. Are you happy with the promotion of your home? And as long as I've done professional photos, floor plan, video tour, Twilight, drone, social media ads, direct mail, I've emailed my database, rung my database, they're going to say, yeah, happy with the promotion. Fantastic. Are you happy with me as a person? Hopefully they're not going to think I'm a So the 3rd P, person. So it must be the price. You said the presentation's fine. You said the promotion's fine. You said the person's fine. It must be the price, Mr. Seller. So you help them self-discover. But too many agents going straight into the let's reduce the price when they aren't actually having kind of a post-mortem of is the presentation, the promotion, and the person right there as well. I've got 2 minutes left on this. So does anyone have any questions for me at all? So 1 or 2 things have happened here. I've stunned you into silence because that was unbelievable. Or 1, you have fallen asleep. Is there a question from the back there, Matt?
What do you reckon to mortgage approval rates when they deregulate from towards late Q4 and January 2026?
Yeah, so you're already seeing with the kind of easing on stress testing when it comes to the mortgage rates, there has been, so if you go to the latest Halifax House Price Index that came out the other day, I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but they have already found an increase in number of mortgage approvals of people who wouldn't have been able to buy a few months prior. So yeah, the ease of stress testing, I would go and look at that information, speak to your mortgage broker. There's some good data on it from Richard Donnell, who does a lot of the Zoopla House Price Index commentary. But yeah, the easing on stress testing, it means that people can borrow more money. It doesn't mean that they can spend more money. So it just kind of gives them a bit better buying power. That's going to increase like positivity, sentiment, demand in the market. Don't then have sellers going, well, if we've got bigger budgets, they can pay more. No, there's still a lot of those people will be coming off fixed rates, which were a lot cheaper. They've now got stamp duty, obviously, is a thing again after the extension. So does that answer that? No. Cool. Right, I've got 40 seconds left. So if you have enjoyed what I've had to say today, please do go find me online, Simon Gates or Opening the Gates. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. I've got a Facebook group called Opening the Gates Small Listings for Estate Agents. If you have enjoyed it, try and go onto Google, leave me a review. I'd really, really appreciate that. If you haven't enjoyed it, go find Kerfuffle on Google and leave them a bad review. And yeah, that is me over and out, 20 seconds left. Thank you very much, everyone.